Verity.
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 It's Verity. Brought to you by Prodigy.
The icy cold seafloor of Norway, filled with mysterious creatures and also myths. A megalodon, sea devils, dogfish, and even mermaids might be living in it without anyone living to see their bodies. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Have you ever thought about how something that doesn't exist became globally known? Hi, and welcome back to Fibs or Fables, the show where we talk about the paradox of folklores and urban myths, but also how it came to be due to communication or PR. I'm your host, Ayman Alia, a fanatic of the mythologies. PR is something that has always been in the daily lives of human beings. Before there was technology, people have always been innovative by sending out their messages with letter, drawings, word of mouth, and so much more. But those messages are not all facts. There are some that was only an imagination that was passed on through the generations. While it can't be blamed, like I have said before, PR has always been rooted in our daily lives, and being a visionary is just one of it. People always talk about how the ocean has too many secrets on itself. There are a lot of unimaginable things that can be lurking around under the sea. As humans are, people wonder and fantasizes what could be lurking around under the deep ocean. From folklores to just, simple guessing, there are many variations of sea monsters created by our fantasy. Some of these monsters are more grounded in reality, but some are just too far-fetched. But none of these monsters are strangely real. Monsters are strangely real than the Kraken, a legendary tentacled giant so powerful it could devour a whole crew. As you guessed, today I am going to talk about one of the largest sea monsters there is, the Kraken, and how tall the tail became. We will be talking about the origin of the Kraken and reveal the false idea behind it. So, gather around the campfire campus, it will be a blustery day. Before anything else, we have to get a clear picture of how the Kraken is or thought out to be. The Kraken is possibly the most massive creature that humanity has ever envisioned. It must be like the size of a bus or even bigger. It was claimed to stalk the oceans all the way from Norway to Iceland, according to a Nordic tradition. The Kraken had a reputation for, bothering sailors, and several pseudoscientific stories claim that it was capable of attacking ships with its powerful jaws. And if this technique fails, the beast will just begin to swim in circles around the ship, generating a powerful maelstrom that will bring the whole ship down with it. And of course, a monster's appetite for human flesh is essential if it is to be really considered terrifying. Legend has it that the Kraken is capable of devouring an entire ship's crew at once. However, despite its terrifying reputation, the monster could also be beneficial since it swam in large schools of fish which cascaded down its back when it emerged from the sea. So brave fishermen, only the brave ones, may thus take a chance on getting close to the beast in order to acquire a plentiful of catch. And that is why a lot of sailors bothered to go around the sea and tried to look for the Kraken because they wanted to get a catch. However, we all know it's not really true. So, the story of the Kraken goes back to 180s, when King Sverre of Norway wrote about it. As with many legends, the Kraken started with something real. It was just based on some sightings of a real animal which is just a squid, a normal squid. Ancient sailors thought that the sea was treacherous and dangerous, and that its depths were full of monsters. So, sailors added a little bit of mythological twist to the normal squid that they saw, or even any other unknown animal that they encounter. After all, the story just gets better if it's told that way. There are a lot of stories about the monster in pseudoscientific and cryptozoological writing, as well as in the official naval records. They say that the Kraken would attack a ship with its strong arms, and if that didn't work, it could just, swim around the ship, as I said before, making a storm and then just pulling it to the ocean floor. And these are the ability that the Kraken is most often said to have, though it is said in different ways since people like to add things to it. To summarize the whole Kraken thing, our squid boy just lives at the bottom of the ocean, only eats human as his dinner. And then if that didn't work, he would just swim around to create a whirlpool and, just suck it all up. With the visionary of the Kraken, I'm guessing that you can get the idea of how crazy the story is. But how did such a crazy story become so big? There are even debates on who would win if the Kraken and the Megalodon had a fight, which I am quite intrigued. The crazy story started out with word of mouth that became a whole grapevine. I think one of the reasons why it is believable is because it is born by historical text and exchange in time. Yes, historical text. There are poems, artworks, and a lot more literatures written about it, and almost each one of it has an edition feature, making it a grapevine. But before all of the literature and artworks, the story started out with pirates and sailors. Sailors were out all day and tales are shared, and they are modified to gain more attention and even more fame as their name would be passed down when the tales are told. So they would just go out the ocean and see a normal squid, but they added things to it. Their stories would be something like, "We were attacked in the middle of the sea on a pitch black night. I couldn't see anything and had to trust my own instincts to stay alive." And to be honest, even I would have imagined the worst of the worst if I was in their situation, so I wouldn't really blame the sailors. Plus, anything that was said had to be taken in. It was the hundreds. There is no way to prove anything was real. They couldn't possibly show the remains of the Kraken. It's too big to fight. And so, from the hundreds, the legend became so powerful that even in the 18th century, when Europe was conducting its first comprehensive scientific surveys of the natural world, the Kraken was still being discussed among the people. But then, in 1853, an enormous mollusk washed ashore on a Danish beach. So, a naturalist from Norway discovered the animal's beak and used it to describe the giant squid, which was later given the scientific name Archithides dux. As a result, what had been a myth was formally added to the history of science, and our perception of the Kraken was transformed back into the animal that inspired the tales in the first place. So, this is how the whole world became aware for the existence of the Kraken, which is just a normal squid, but in bigger size, easily said. For a time, people believed that a sea monster was capable of devouring a whole cruise ship in the blink of an eye, but they were quite disappointed when they discovered that the Kraken that they had envisioned and assumed would be way much more smaller, a prey, and does not like eating humans type of squid. It was quite disappointing to many that even the Kraken's fan club lost a number of members. So kids, this is why we shouldn't believe something so easily without proof, and to adults out there, please check the source of your information. You wouldn't want to be disappointed too. That is the end of today's episode for Fibs of Fables. I hope the tall tale of the Kraken can make you realize that people can create any tall tale with just some simple set words that can't be justified. It grew from a grapevine that started out due to suspicions from the sailors that was just never confirmed. But because the Kraken is not magical, it made it more believable as it was kind of more realistic since there are always squids living under the ocean. And I know that there are people that would believe Ariel could be with her little crab hoping for a prince to come and get her. But check your sources, please. Is it from a trustable source? Did they put up any proof? What did the other sources say? Compare it before making yourself unseemly. If you tweet that Ariel is real right now on Twitter, you might be cancelled or reported. It's either or. So please, do check your sources. And before leaving, don't forget to share today's episode and comment on what are the Fibs or fables that you would like to hear. The world is made up of beautiful lies, to be honest, since humans are imaginative and enjoys the mysteries. That's what I would like to share together with you. See you in the next episode with more interesting fables to fib on. Bye!
Verity.
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 It's Verity. Brought to you by